Good morning after evening, everyone. It's DizzoD here with the first episode of Tank Guides from the Dragons of Azeroth community and Facius Guild. Let's take a look into Aberrus the Shadowed Crucible with Heroic and Normal Scale Commander Sarkareth. Sarkareth's fight, or Sark for short, is broken down into three main phases. The fight will begin with all of the ranged DPS and healers starting on the edge of the inner ring, while you, the tank, begin in the middle of the room with the melee DPS. As seen, the first move casted is Glittering Surge, which healers will need to heal through, then a Pressing Howl. The Howl is a slight pushback that leaves a debuff on the entire raid. To clear this, make sure to get hit by Mass Disintegrate or Searing Breath. However, if you are in a group, especially a pug group, coordinate before the pull a Dispel order, or be sure to pay extra attention to your surroundings, as each Dispel triggers an Echoing Howl, dealing a large amount of damage to the entire raid. Now, for the important tank swap mechanic, which, by the way, changes per phase. The first of these is Burning Claws, which lasts for roughly 26 seconds. On expiration, this debuff will explode and deal a massive amount of damage, so to combat this you will need to mitigate as much damage as possible. During the entirety of phase 1, you should only ever get this debuff twice, so use your mitigation moves wisely. Here's a little tip for all of my Death Knight friends out there who are awful at mitigation to begin with. Stay topped off and pop Icebound Fortitude before one set of claws as well as Anti-Magic Shield. And if you have it, run the Ward of Faceless Ire Trinket for the second set. Trust me, it will save you from a lot of angry healers. Moving right along, we have a brief intermission starting with a second Glittering Surge that requires the entire group to stack tightly and pop major shield and healing cooldowns to stay alive. This means a Demon Hunter's Darkness, a Shaman's Spirit Link Totem, a Death's Anti-Magic Shield, etc. Shortly after, everyone should get 10 stacks of a move called Oblivion and head into an alternate realm to grab 3 glowy rings with a bunch of little glowy dots scattered across the room. Grabbing a dot gives a speed and haste buff that stacks to 10, but for us tanks, the biggest goal is getting back up as fast as possible, because as soon as everyone goes in, Sark starts to cast End Existence, and that needs to be interrupted when the cast is close to being finished. Make sure that cast never goes off unless you want a very swift wipe. From here, we go into phase 2. You can either go clockwise or counterclockwise, but that's a group preference. In this run specifically, we went clockwise. And as a tank, you need to hold him until he casts Abyssal Breath, and drops about 4 to 5 no Glimmer adds in Heroic and about 3 in Normal. Shortly after running back to you, he will cast Desolate Blossom and leave behind 2 large AoEs on the ground, and those adds need to be ran through to get rid of their debuff. Note, the add Dispel only applies in Heroic difficulty. In Normal, you don't need to worry about this. Regardless though, all adds should be cleaved down as soon as they come up and interrupted as needed. Let the DPS take care of that part though. For us tanks, we have to deal with the upgraded tank swap move known as Void Claws. This debuff lasts about 15 seconds, and when it expires you need to be way out of the group. Quick warning though! If Infinite Duress, which is a heroic DPS mechanic, is up at the same time you are dispelling your Void Claws, stay away from the edge unless you believe you can fly. Phase 2 is just a rinse and repeat, and quite honestly, it's fairly easy. Until it isn't. There is one last and final Glimmering Surge, but nobody needs to stack this one. And this is the part where the circus comes to town and oh geez, there's a lot happening at once, and he's extremely ugly. Alright, focus. While everyone is running for their lives to the spot Sark was just at, you need to pull him to the other side of the room through the middle. Quick warning! Your tank swap has Mega Evolved and is now frontal called Void Slash. One of the tanks takes it at a time, and before it expires they need to be in the other realm to drop it off. Easiest way to do this is look for the little blue swirlies and stand at it until a little ball falls onto your head and boom! 5 stacks of Oblivion. Do that twice for a total of 10 stacks, go under, pop a shield, and drop your debuff. It's rinse and repeat. Then come back for another round. There is a little catch with this though, as I have experienced in painful previous runs as well as in this run, which you will see. If you do not get the 10 stacks in time, the only way not to murder your entire group is to jump off and get a battle res. The best way to combat that though is to go under at around 8 seconds remaining on the debuff and come back as soon as the debuff drops off. Additionally, watch your timers and grab the stacks before his massive AoE Ascension or Scourging Eternity, as the swirlies will go away. For Scouring Eternity, which is the hide mechanic, simply just stand in the convenient purple sticky tape on the floor behind the rocks and you will be completely fine. Just rinse and repeat for this phase, and it's a fairly simple win so long as the DPS do their jobs correctly. Here's a few pre-flight tips, and a couple reminders. Lust is best used after the first ascension in phase 3, right after that transition. In Heroic, there are tiny swirlies called Drifting Embers, which are red, in phase 1 that everyone needs to avoid, similarly to Motes of Oblivion in phase 3, which are purple. Infinite Duress, which again is a heroic mechanic, can be dispelled, but will cause the same effect as letting the debuff time out and sending everyone in the group flying. So if you have Infinite Duress on you, make sure you stand at the edge of the room. Once again, in Heroic only will No Glimmers, the ads, have a debuff, so do not forget to run them through the Desolate Blossoms to remove it. Lastly, at the start of the fight, if ranged and healers start at the 2 o'clock position and move clockwise, or similarly the 10 o'clock position and move counterclockwise, the lava pools left behind from the Scorching Bombs will not intervene with reaching the boss during the transition into phase 2. This little tip has helped save a lot of accidental deaths from happening and for making the run a lot smoother. The pull in the background was unfortunately not my best pull or the one I got the kill on, but here's a short clip I managed to get of an extremely lucky kill. I'm still not quite sure how I managed to start recording when I did or how I ended it too early, but there you have it. If you have any questions or comments, be sure to put them in the comment section below. Like and sub if you would like to see more of this kind of content, and since Heroic is mostly done and over with by now, we will be moving very shortly into Mythic Kazara the Hellforged. Until next time, goodbye!